Welcome to The Wicket.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Wicket, the cricketing podcast from Arab News. I'm Brian Murgatroyd, and in this episode we have a very special guest indeed. It's Australia spin bowler Nathan Lyon. Nathan is a true legend of the game with 530 test wickets. That haul places him third on the all-time list for his country, behind only Glenn McGrath and Shane Warne. And he's the seventh highest wicket-taker in the history of Test cricket. He's just finished a stint in England with county side Lancashire and is now back in Australia, gearing up for a Test summer that includes 5 matches against India for the Border Gavaskar Trophy, India's first 5-match Test series in Australia for 33 years. Nathan, thanks so much for joining us at the start of your pre-season preparations in Sydney. What does pre-season actually look like for you?
Firstly, thanks for having me, mate. Yeah, pre-season's one of those things where you kind of wish you didn't have to do it. You just wish you could just go out there and play cricket. But the cricket has changed over even the last, 13 years that I've been playing. The level of science that goes in behind the fitness side of the game. So we've got a heap of fitness testing over the next couple of weeks, and then we try to improve that over the next 8 weeks before our Shield season starts here for New South Wales, before obviously, as you mentioned, the big Test series against India. So a bit of gym, a lot of running, and just making sure that I'm ready to go especially come November 22.
Well, you've had some pre-season to an extent, I guess, already, in that you've played 8 first-class matches for Lancashire during the Australian winter, 26 wickets at 30 apiece. You were Lancashire's top wicket-taker in the county championship. Was it a worthwhile stint for you and for Lancashire, do you think?
Oh, well, it was definitely for me. I really hope Lancashire enjoyed having me there, but hopefully they also took a little bit out of it as well, and I was able to pass on a bit of knowledge here and there. But I thoroughly enjoyed my time there at Lancashire. Firstly, they're a great county. They've got some really good people in and around the team, but also behind the scenes as well. So it makes it extremely enjoyable to head over there. I wouldn't hesitate in going back at some stage throughout my rest of my career. So, yeah, as I said, I really enjoyed it, and hopefully they took something out of it. We didn't play our best cricket at the start, but we started to get a little bit of momentum towards the back end of my time.
Well, I know weather didn't help particularly early on in the season, but of course, one thing you did do when you were over there was you played in the same side as James Anderson after all those years of being up against him. Was there any frostiness after all those years of being adversaries? What was it like to be in the same dressing room as him finally?
No, to be honest, it was actually really incredible. Obviously, James has got a decent aura around him, and you can definitely see that when you're in the same change room with him, and all the English guys really look up to him. So lucky enough, they had Chris Green with me playing there, the fellow New South Wales cricketer here. So it was good to have another Australian with me to back me up here and there. But it was quite amazing being able to field it mid-on and watch Jimmy do his thing. And obviously I've seen it so many times going against Australia, but to see it up close and personal, and actually want him to bowl well and want him to do the things that he usually does, it was pretty special. And I think he took the first 6 wickets of our innings, and he ended up with 7, I think. So to see that, have those conversations with him, was pretty remarkable. And playing at a little club ground down in Southport, which is about an hour and a bit outside Manchester on the coast. So yeah, it was pretty cool. The crowd got what they wanted, that's for sure.
Well, your exposure to county cricket meant you were able to see for yourself the standard of that competition and cricket in England and Wales. What did you think of it?
That's a good question. There's a lot of teams, I'll give you that. Obviously, you see the the guys you play against, but you look on the Cricket Australia website and there's just games going non-stop, and the schedule is ridiculous. There's not much time to train. I see how guys can be in form and they absolutely love it because they're playing every third day, or vice versa. If you're out of form, you absolutely hate it because you can't find a way to try and get better. So I can see how some people love it, some people hate it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that I was coming up against a lot of people who I've never played against, and it was more the old school factor that I didn't use the technology that was available as much as what I usually do coming into Test cricket. I wanted to really go back and to the real basics and work guys out on the go and challenge myself that way and find out different ways to get the guys out without understanding their strengths or weaknesses. You had to figure out on the spot from the first ball they come out to hopefully when you dismiss them. So I really enjoyed that challenge of county cricket, and I thoroughly enjoyed that.
And what about England's spin stocks? It obviously doesn't help the cause for spin for them to be playing first-class cricket at the two ends of the season when conditions are cold, pitches are damp. But what were your impressions of the spin stocks that England have?
Well, obviously, Tom Hartley is Lancashire spinner as well, so I was able to bowl with him in the nets and bowl with him a couple of times in the game before he headed off to the T20 World Cup. So it was really good to get to know Tom. I know he was pretty excited to do some work in the nets, even out in the game. So he's definitely talented. I know that he's working on a few things to try and really improve his red ball cricket, as we all are. Yeah, the spin stock it's definitely there. I didn't see many guys that we played against. Obviously, early on in the season, we played a lot of probably more seamers friendly, like Essex ran through us, and Simon Harmer didn't really have to bowl against us. So I was really excited to come up against Simon, even though he is South African. Obviously, having the two of us go head to head in a county game I was really looking forward to that. But their fast bowlers had other plans, and yeah, so I missed out on that part, but. All in all, it was okay. I did a few sessions with a couple of spinners, younger spinners from Durham and Essex and a few other places. A few people had a few different chats, so which was good.
And what about the concept of overseas players? It's not something Australia has ever embraced to any great extent, although there have been exceptions like Gary Sobers, Ian Botham, Imran Khan among them. Do you think you added value in England, and is it something you'd like to see more of in first-class cricket in Australia?
I think the big difference is what we've got 6 teams, and I think that's the biggest difference in it. I think the county cricket, they have so many different counties. I really feel that allows the teams to have international players come over there and really bump up the quality of cricket. I do see the benefit of it, but here in Australia, I feel like only having a small amount of teams, I find it quite hard to understand how you'd bring in an overseas player and getting potentially in a way of younger players coming through, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I do understand that. But what about finger spinners? There's something of a rarity in international cricket these days. So how much does it interest you to see the emergence in England of Shoaib Bashir?
Yeah, I haven't seen much of Bash bowl, to be honest with you. I was on holidays when he ended up taking, I think he took 5 wickets in the second test against West Indies there to win the game for England. So I haven't seen much of him. I've asked a lot about him, and James Anderson obviously was part of one of those conversations, and I know that he said that they'll be picking Bash for the Ashes to come out here and replicate what I do. But saying that, there's a fair amount of decent finger spinners around the world. If you, in my opinion, there's probably more finger spin than wrist spin especially playing Test cricket. You look at Maharaj, you look at Ashwin, you look at Jadeja. I think they're all 3 quality spinners. So I feel like finger spinners going okay, and so we should, because they say it's an easy craft, but it's a bloody hard craft to be good at.
Well, I was going to ask you about that actually. You mentioned pre-season a little earlier, and being a finger spinner. One of the issues that finger spinners often have is obviously the spinning fingers. If you don't bowl on a regular basis, the spinners get the fingers get a little softer. How do you cope with that?
Yeah, good question. That's one of my secrets I can't reveal. Um, but I was only looking at my fingers the other day. I haven't bowled a ball in about three weeks, and my fingers are starting to peel, and the callus is starting to come off. But I have bowled a fair amount over the last couple of little bit, so I'm not worried about having a little bit of time off. Yeah, I think it's one of those things you just got to bowl, and you got to get through it and find a way and to figure out what works well with you to keep your fingers in really good condition.
We've spoken there about Shoaib Bashir. With his high action and his use of overspin as a key part of his armoury, can you see why people might compare the two of you?
I suppose so, but I really feel for Jack Leach. To be honest with you, I feel like Leach, he's done an incredible role for England over a number of years, and I feel like he's improving day in day out, and he's bowled pretty well for Somerset lately. So I was surprised about that, but I can understand why people potentially may compare myself and Bash together. I think mainly because of the right arm off spinner, and he's got 67 on the back of his shirt as well. So I think that could be about it.
Well, you mentioned earlier about James Anderson saying to you that Shoaib Bashir is a likely tourist to Australia. Is he a spinner who could threaten Australia's batters in Australian conditions? I ask that because over the past decade, since Graham Swan was at his best, there haven't been too many England spinners who've given Australia's batters many sleepless nights on home soil, have they?
Oh no, it's really hard to say. I haven't seen enough of him. But the way I look at Test cricket, if you're playing Test cricket, you're going to provide some challenges here and there. So there's every chance that you might give a batter or some batters a sleepless night. But I feel like the batters these days are extremely that well prepared. They know your strengths, they know your weaknesses well before you get out there in the middle. So if he does end up touring out here for the Ashes in a couple of years, in a year's time, I know all our guys will be well prepared. And one benefit thing is I feel like our Australian batters are used to the bounce a little bit more than what the touring nations are.
Well, England have made it clear they're building for that next Ashes series in 2025-26 with Stuart Broad's retirement after the last Ashes series and the departure now of James Anderson. Do you think there'll be a better side in Australia for the departure of those two and the switch to a more out-and-out pace approach with the likes of possibly Jofra Archer, Dylan Pennington, Josh Tong? Gus Atkinson, Mark Wood, or will those two leave a hole that's too big to fill, do you think?
There's no doubt that they're going to leave a hole. Without a doubt, they're two of the greatest bowlers to play the game, especially Jimmy's and the way Jimmy. I've been in the change room with Jimmy and wait to see how he operates. There's absolutely no doubt that there's going to be a decent hole there. Whether they're going to be a better side, who knows? They're obviously playing baseball and playing the positive brand of cricket and etc. like that, which can potentially work out here in Australia. So, but it'll be a good challenge and something that I'm really looking forward to. But that's well in the back of my mind as of with India around the corner. That's our number one focus. But yeah, there's no doubt that no Anderson, no Broad's going to be a decent hole, but they're blooding the young fast bowlers now, and they've got some decent Test cricket around the corner. I think they're playing Sri Lanka in a couple of weeks, and then I think they're potentially off to Pakistan. So they're going to have some decent challenges around the corner. But as I said, any teams playing Test cricket, it's pretty exciting and a big challenge.
I mentioned the Ashes, and one thing you're renowned for, aside from taking England wickets, is having a bit of fun ahead of the series, a bit of trash talking, something Glenn McGrath used to specialise in too before a series against England. What's your thinking in doing that?
Well, Brian, you asked a sports person or a professional athlete, do you think they're going to win? If I come out and said, no, I think we're going to win 3-2, basically in my head, you're saying that I'm going to go lose 2 games. Like every game I'll go to play, like I go to India and I'll say I'm aiming to win 4-0, 5-0 this time around. I'll go to Pakistan. My aim is to win 3-0. Winning Test cricket, it's bloody hard, but I've never understood where people ask a professional athlete, do you think you can win?
Yeah, it's a very good it's a very good observation. Of course, getting to that level, getting to the elite level, you've got to have a bit of self-belief, haven't you? But that's one side of you. But the other side, of course, is the work you do for Cricket Australia's national inclusion competitions, and in particular with the blind and deaf cricketers. Just tell us about that and how that came about, first of all.
Yeah, so this is something that I'm extremely proud about. I've been doing work with the disability teams here in Australia, so the blind, the intellectual, which is like learning disabilities, and also the deaf cricketers for about 7, 8 years now, probably longer. And it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. I believe that cricket is a sport for all, and we're able to build a community for people with disabilities to come and play a game that we all love. And Cricket Australia is really good with their programs they've got. Obviously, there's club cricket in and around Australia, but then there's opportunities for these girls and guys to come out and represent their state at competitions around the country. Then if they perform well enough, they get the opportunity potentially to get picked for higher honours and representing the country. And for me, they're under the same banner as what Steve Smith, Marnus, myself, Mitchell Stark, Alyssa Healy, Elise Perry, everyone who plays cricket for Australia are all under the same banner. So it's something that everyone should be extremely proud about. And I feel like what Cricket Australia is doing is very good. And I was even over at England, where I feel England's probably a little bit ahead of us with the disability cricket, their engagement and involvement with physical disabilities, so a lot of amputees and people with other disabilities, allowing them a chance to play as well. So the other day I was at Lord's for the first ever disability game at cricket. There was 2 games. There was the exhibition blind game with the English blind team with a few celebrities playing here and there. On Lord's, a 10-over game. Then there was a 40-over game against the MCC with the all disabilities, so a team with learning disabilities, the physical disabilities, and the deaf disabilities. They're all combined in a team, and they played a game out there, which was absolutely incredible to see. So I feel like it's so important and so incredibly important that we create awareness for it, and understanding that there's so many people. I don't have the stats with me. I don't want to say them in case I get them wrong, but there's a lot of people in Australia living with disabilities, and if we can provide awareness or a community or get them to feel comfortable that they can come out and play a game that we all love, then I'm doing my role.
That's fantastic to hear. Well, you're 36, you turned 37 in November. How long do you see yourself going on for? Because you seem as fit and as enthusiastic as ever.
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask this question, Mergers, and I'm going to play until I wake up in the morning. And I don't want to try and get better. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and obviously I got injured last year with a bad calf injury in the Ashes. I feel like that injury probably come at the right time. I would have liked it if it was in the last test and we're 4-0 up and we secured the Ashes, but things weren't meant to be like that. And I feel like I was able to come home and reset some goals, go through the grieving part of the injury, but then understand what's happened and how can I get better and what can I do to get better. And then at home during that period, I was at home and I was watching the AFL final here in Australia, then also the Rugby League grand final, and I saw the joy and the heartbreak of winning and losing those competitions. And I said to Emma, my wife, I said, "There's no way I'm giving up this game of cricket. That's the exact reason why you play this game, to win big competitions, win games of cricket." So my hunger and the fire in my belly's probably got bigger than anything. So something that I'm really enjoying, and I'm looking forward to getting to pre-season tomorrow and get cracking.
Well, you mentioned about goal setting there. Of course, you passed 800 first-class wickets during your stint with Lancashire. Can you set your sights on 1,000? As if you get there, you might actually be one of the last bowlers to reach that mark.
Well, yeah, I definitely could if I wanted to, but it's more about winning games and playing my role rather than me putting in like a wicket number, because I feel like if I put a wicket number I want to get to and I had a couple of unbelievable years and I got it, then I'm like, well, what am I striving for now? It kind of burns out the candle type thing. So I'll never put a number on how many wickets I want to get. It's more about ensuring that I'm playing my role to the best of my ability and that we're winning games of cricket and that we're singing the song as many times as we can. So that's the biggest goal.
Is there an awareness, I wonder, within the playing group about the fact that this Australian Test side, and particularly the bowling unit, is getting older? And how might that be dealt with? We mentioned your age. Mitchell Stark's 34, Josh Hazlewood's 33, Pat Cummins is 31. Is there that awareness, or are you just enjoying the moment?
No, well, I think those guys, those three guys are still playing all three formats. So I feel like there will be awareness from someone's point of view, but we're all enjoying it. We all love playing cricket together, and well, I think we're the first four bowlers to have over 250 Test match wickets each, and I feel like that's pretty remarkable and pretty special by itself, and it's in its own right. So we thoroughly enjoy playing cricket together. Thoroughly enjoy bowling with those guys, and something that I'll never take for granted is the class of bowlers that I've been able to bowl with at the other end. I feel like I've been very lucky and something that I've enjoyed, but no close ending in my eyes. We've got a lot of things we want to tick off and a lot of things we want to win as a team.
Well, talking of Pat, what's he like as a captain? I think it surprised a few people outside the squad when a fast bowler was given the role, but how's he been and been for you in particular? Because I know earlier this year he described you as the most important member of the bowling unit. So he obviously likes you. There's a good sign.
Yeah, Pat's been really good. I feel like his captaincy has really developed over the last 2 years since he's taken on. I feel like he's gone through some pretty intense stuff on the field, but also off the field with passing of his mum just last year. So there's been some big challenges where a lot of people probably didn't realise, but I feel like the way he holds himself, he's Australian cricket pin-up boy, isn't he? So he's Mr. Perfect, but the way he's able to get the team together and really, he's really very clear on where he wants the team to go. So, but for me, having the best bowler in the world, which is Pat, his mindset as captain, but then we're very fortunate in having Smithy as arguably still one of the best batters in the world, and he's been the best batter in the world for a decade. Having his mindset, I feel like we're in a very good position for Cricket Australia to keep moving forward. So I've got nothing but praise for Paddy. I know you do these things and you try and find a weakness on Pat, but you actually can't. So no, he's been absolutely brilliant.
What's he like in the dressing room? Is he a shouter? Is he an arm round the shoulder man? Is he a come on lads, let's get cracking? What's his approach to captaincy?
No, he's very chilled. He's very chilled out and very calm. One of the big things for him is always everyone staying really calm and enjoying the moment. And Pat does that even when things aren't going his way with the ball, which isn't very often. He finds a way to stay really calm, and he understands that everyone is watching him and what his moods are really affects the team. And I feel like the best captains understand that and don't let the emotion into it. So Pat's extremely good like that, and he is that type of captain that will put his arm around you and ensure that you're okay. But he's also got that humour about him that he can take the mickey, or have a laugh every now and then, which is extremely important as well.
Now, we mentioned England's spin bowling stocks a bit earlier. How do you view Australia's spin resources behind you in red ball cricket? There's obviously Todd Murphy, who stepped in when you were injured in that last Ashes series. Players like Matthew Kuhneman, who bowled so well in India, Lloyd Pope, Ashton Agar, Jason Sangha, amongst others. Is spin in Australia in a good place, do you think?
Yeah, I feel like spin's actually going in a decent way. It's heading in the right way. You've named some really good young cricketers there coming along. Matt Kuhneman, Mitchell Swepson, Todd Murphy, and Corey Roccaccioli from Perth are probably the leading four spinners, really pushing the way up and really putting the hand up to potentially hopefully come up on different tours. Or I know we go to Sri Lanka after to India, and that's going to be a massive series for us in regard to the Test Championship, and obviously trying to win away from home as well. So I feel like we're going okay. I'm actually catching up with Murph next week to see what he's up to, and have a look at his bowling as well, which I'm excited to catch up with everyone and see that. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Well, this coming season, you face India at home in a five-test series, and it's a fascinating matchup for you especially. You've got more test wickets against them than any other side. You've got your best figures against them. That's 8 for 50 in Bengaluru. You were Australia's top wicket taker in the last series you played against them. You picked up 22 wickets there, and it could be said you truly arrived as a Test cricketer against them when you took 12 wickets in that Adelaide Test of 2014 to win that match. How much are you looking forward to playing 5 Tests against India?
Yeah, it's a massive one. I feel like that they've had the better of us over the last 10 years, I reckon. 2014 was probably the last time we held the trophy. They've played some brilliant cricket out here over the last number of years. So it's a massive challenge for us. They've obviously got some young superstars and some legends of the game still going around. So we're going to have to be good. We're going to have to be really clear on our plans and understanding the brand of cricket that we want to play, and going out and fully believing in that. But yeah, I'm excited. It's a massive Test series. It's a first 5 Test match series against India that I'll be a part of, and 5 Test matches out here in Australia. So it's going to be a roller coaster, but I'm looking forward to it, and it's a massive summer. So hopefully we'll have some decent support from the Australian crowds and Indian crowds that come to the games as well.
Well, you mentioned the fact that their record in Australia is a pretty good one. They've won the last 2 series played on your home patch, but you did, of course, beat them in the final of the World Test Championship last year. Do those results in Australia or in that World Test Championship final count for anything, or is it simply a case of slate wiped clean?
Yeah, you can't look back on it because you can't change anything, can you? You can learn from it, but there's no point being upset or uptight about it. I feel like India, they play decent cricket anywhere they go. They've got world-class players that can perform under pressure and in all type of conditions. So the World Test Championship was unbelievable. India was a massive challenge for us, and we took some really good steps moving forward. But saying that, in my eyes, we missed a couple of really big opportunities in that Test tour that potentially could have changed the result of things. But I feel like coming out here, come November 22, all that sits to the side, and we start fresh, and no one's going into day one at Optus being 2-0 up or 3-0 up or whatever it may be. So it's 0-0 going into that first Test, and hopefully we'll walk out being 1-0 up.
Now, you're a Test player, although you've played all 3 formats for Australia, but you began your professional career, and some people might not realise this, in 2020s for South Australia. I wonder, do you ever think to yourself, what if? And wonder what would have happened if you'd focused on the short form of the game instead of tests, particularly given the riches on offer in T20s these days. Do you ever think to yourself, if only I'd just set myself the goal of bowling 4 overs a game?
Nah, God no. And this is purely my opinion. Test cricket is the pinnacle, and it will always be the pinnacle. And my reason behind that is that you can't hide anywhere in Test cricket. If T20 cricket, you can hide. If you've got a weakness, you can get away with it. Where in Test cricket, you can't afford to have a weakness, otherwise you won't be able to succeed. And at the end of the day, no one really remembers how many T20 wickets you take, do they? So it's always how many Test wickets or how many Test runs has the player been able to take. And for me, I wouldn't change a thing. Being able to play 130 Test matches for Australia, 100 Test matches consecutive. That's something that I'm really proud about, and yeah, I'm not worried about the T20, anything like that. Saying that, I do thoroughly enjoy playing it, and I look forward to putting on the Melbourne Renegades kit this year and going down there and hopefully playing a couple of games after the Test series. But for me, Test cricket is the absolute pinnacle, and that won't change.
Well, when you started playing international cricket in 2011, and of course you famously got the wicket of Kumar Sangakkara with your first ball, T20 was already established, but there were still many batters who'd been brought up in the pre-2020 era. Now you're playing at a time when all international batters have been exposed to T20 from the start of their cricketing lives. Have you noticed the difference? And if so, how have you coped with it?
Yeah, definitely noticed the difference. Obviously, the guys are willing to hit the ball pretty well all around the park, so 360 degrees. But the one thing I look at is that Test cricket is built around defence. If you can defend with the ball, you'll have a chance. If you defend with the bat, you'll have a chance to succeed. So for me, it's all about coming back to being able to challenge each and every batter. It doesn't matter if you're number 3, number 7, or number 11. If you can challenge someone's defence for long periods of time, that gives you the best chance to create a chance here or there.
And do you like it when batters come at you?
I'd much rather guys come at me than defend me. So yes, I do. I do like guys trying to slog me.
Well, hopefully that'll produce a few wickets for you this coming Australian summer. Nathan, it's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you here at the Wicket. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Brian. I really appreciate it.
Now, we'll be back with more cricket chat from the Gulf region, Asia and worldwide. As ever, please don't forget to like, subscribe and comment on what you've heard wherever you get your podcast. That's all then for The Wicket. This is Brian Murgatroyd saying thanks so much for listening.